everybody, Begginers here, back in with another video. In 3 months. Yeah, sorry for having you guys wait so long for another one of my videos, but with the combination of my motherboard on my laptop exploding, and moving, it's been kind of difficult to make videos, but besides that, I am back with a new video, and today I'll be covering a little game known as the Darwin Project, a game that actually recently became free on the 4th of July and has been game preview since March of this year. Darwin Project is yet another addition to the very popular and growing Battle Royale genre with a twist. It pits 10 people or 5 teams of 2 against each other in an arena where one person is known as the director and can control and spice up the match by doing things like closing off sections of the map, nuking portions of the arena, helping or hurting people or teams throughout the match, etc. Darwin Project puts a very unique twist on the Battle Royale genre that it really needs, and I enjoy the new, fresh perspective on it. So today I'll be making a beginner's guide, as stated in the title, for new players who don't know a lot about the game or who want to play the game but don't know how to play it, so yeah. As I explained in the intro, you can choose to either play as 2 roles, a player or a director, which both have their very, very unique play styles of their own. The player is trying to survive in an arena with 9 other players trying to kill him. Everyone's trying to kill everyone and be the last player or team standing like in any other Battle Royale game. But what makes this game unique is that you're trying to survive and craft. When I say that, it sounds like any other Battle Royale, but hear me out, right? You have to find materials to make certain armors and upgrades to your weapons, and you'll find leather and wood out in the world to use to make things like armor and protect yourself from damage, cloaks to keep yourself from getting cold, boots to increase your speed, etc. And you'll also keep upgrading your weapons throughout the game, like your axe, which levels up certain skills depending on what axe you have equipped, which I'll talk about later. Throughout the game, you might acquire technology, which will be highlighted on the map with this icon. And with the tech, you will be able to craft certain powerful items to give yourself an advantage in combat in other situations. Like cloaking yourself, partially slip away, place down auto turrets as like a second gun to help you, radars to detect people around you. Speaking of radar, you can also track players around you, whether it be like footprints that you see on the ground from them moments ago, or maybe crafting stations and campfires that you can see and scan to see where they are. While all of this is going on, zones in the map will be closed off and you can't enter them anymore, or else you'll start freezing to death. And once the game gets down to 1 zone left, after a while the zone will start shrinking to let all the players get in all one area so that all the players don't hide. Bring them all close together. And the director, which I will talk about shortly, can close zones as well, which he might be using to bring certain people and groups together. So the player definitely has a lot to pay attention to between the players, the enemies, zones closing, items, footprints, items to track people, and all of this will definitely be harder, especially if the director isn't fond of you. I suppose now would be a good time to start talking about the director and what he does. As the director, you'll essentially be spectating the whole match while watching everyone during the match, but instead of just spectating the players, the director can control and spice up the match using cards. You start off with a certain amount of cards that will be at your disposal, and as you complete matches, you'll level up, which grants you more cards in your arsenal of pain. But you can't spam the cards you have due to them costing points, which will regenerate over time during the match, with the most expensive cards being among like nukes and stuff like that. The director can, as mentioned before, close off portions of the map, maybe as a way of bringing people together so you can watch 2 or more people duke it out, and you'll be able to nuke certain parts of the map as well, which will kill anybody instantly if they don't get out of that zone fast, which in combination with closing off zones can be devastating for the players. But instead of always hurting or harming players, you can help them as well, like using your give wood card. Give someone 3 wood, or you can heal them if their health is particularly low, or you can just make the match fun and interesting by using cards like Gravity Storm, which completely changes all the gravity in certain areas to make it low, so people can jump and fly over, or you can do something like Electromini, which puts tech in every possible spot on the map. As a director, you're the true god of the entire game, choosing who wins, loses, dies, and lives, and messing up people throughout the entire match. It is quite enjoyable, indeed. So I think it would be a good time to start talking about the equipment and what it does, because that can be confusing for some beginner players. So let's get into that. As mentioned before, when I was talking about the player and what he does, you can have different types of weapons and equipment. Most new people, I have noticed, don't change their equipment, so I will explain some of the most effective and deadly combinations of equipment in my opinion. The top part of the crafting wheel is labeled as arrows, which, yes, indeed, is where your arrows are, but it also has fire and armor craftables there, but you can't customize them, which is why it's only labeled as arrows there. Anyway, there are 4 different types of arrows you can choose from. The regular arrows, which have a base damage of 150 damage and a headshot damage of 200, like all the arrows in the rest of the equipment slots, except for the fire arrows. These arrows have no special effect except for the fact that you start with 5 right off the bat instead of having 0 like with the special arrows. The hunter arrows have the same damage as the regular arrows, but instead of starting off with 5, you have 0 as mentioned before. Like with the rest of the arrows you choose from the special slots. The special thing about the hunter arrows is that when you hit someone with them, you can track them for up to 5 seconds, which means that if you hit them and they start running, you can see where they are for a little bit of time and may make it easier to track them. The fire arrows are the strongest arrows in the game damage-wise. They do 200 base damage and 250 headshot damage, along with a little bit of fire on them when you hit them. But their disadvantage is that the speed of the arrows is half, which means that they don't go as fast, and they're the only ones with like a severe bullet drop that you really have to account for when using them. And the fire arrows that you have are the berserk arrows, which have the average damage of 150 and 200. But the good thing about these arrows is that if you hit someone with them, similar to the hunter arrows where you have to hit someone to get the effect, you get unlimited stamina for 10 seconds, which is really useful for sneaking up on someone, hitting them with the arrow, and charging at them with your axe at full speed, with your infinite stamina. The left section of the crafting wheel is your perks, which are one of the most useful things in the game by far. The first thing on the perks side is your axe, which is your melee weapon, as well as the thing that you use to harvest some of your resources. The first style of axe is the axe sharpener, which when upgraded increases its damage by 25% each upgrade, giving your axe the max damage 125% increased damage, or 275 damage, which is almost half of your health. When fully upgraded, it is absolutely devastating, but with this, it has the highest upgrade cost of 2 wood and 3 leather, but it is truly worth it. The second axe is the lumberjack axe, which increases your harvest and craft speed by 10% each upgrade. Useful, but when compared to the other upgrades for the axes, it's the worst one. The third and final axe you can choose from is your scavenger axe, which is the most helpful of the 3 axes. Each upgrade will make it so that when you kill a deer or an inmate and harvest their body, you'll get 25 health back with each upgrade, with the max being 125 health per inmate or deer harvested. It is a really good late game when you start getting to more and more fights and you start needing that health more and more often, because chances are the director's not going to heal you. The third perk on your crafting wheel would be your cloak, which will increase your cold resistance with every upgrade. The first and regular cloak giving you the most cold resistance out of all of them, with a plus of 19% resistance per upgrade. With the rest of the upgrades, the cold resistance is only 10%, with the trade-off being the amazing abilities you receive. The first one to talk about is the detective cloak, which with each upgrade makes the clue duration last 15% longer than normal, which means you can detect someone from clues almost twice as long if it's fully upgraded. The second cloak is the runner cloak, which with each upgrade increases your running speed by 15%, which means when fully upgraded, you can run 75% longer, which is really useful from fleeing a scene or running away from a zone that's closing off or being nuked. The third cloak is the revenge cloak, which makes it so when you're hit, you automatically track the person who hit you for a certain amount of time. Each upgrade adding 1.5 seconds, with the total time being 7.5 seconds of tracking time when you're hit, which can be really useful when someone sneaks up on you and you don't know where they are. The fourth and final cloak being the ghost cloak, which gives you the benefit of making you being tracked for not as long, with each upgrade making the tracking time on you 10% shorter, which is useful if you're the type of person who's always being tracked. The final item from the perk tree are your boots, which the general ability making you run faster. The base boots give you the biggest speed boost per upgrade, which is 5% per level, but the rest of the boots give you somewhere like 4 and 3% speed. The first variation of the boots is the ninja boots, which make your footsteps disappear 19% shorter per upgrade, which are very useful for any situation where you need to flee the scene. And when paired with the runner cloak, people want to be able to follow you for very long without losing you. The second variation of the boots would be the hunter boots, which give you the benefit of being able to run faster when you track someone from a clue they left, which make you run 4% per upgrade when tracking someone, and the base stats per upgrade is 3% faster per upgrade. The third and final variation is the polar opposite of the hunter boots or the evader boots, which instead of making you go faster when tracking someone, it makes you go faster when you're being tracked. The boots have the same stats as the hunter boots, but obviously is activated in the opposite way. The bottom part of the crafting wheel is your technology, which there is a lot of technology. The first bit of tech is the radar, which when activated highlights in orange any player, clue, or trap that isn't yours. Its range is 150 meters, duration is 10 seconds, and its cooldown is 60 seconds. The second one is the detector, which is the same idea as the radar, except it tracks resources, loot boxes, traps, and gear around you. Its range is 150 meters, duration is 15 seconds, and its cooldown is 45 seconds. The third tech mod is camo, which makes you almost invisible for 15 seconds, which is really useful for slipping out of fights or sneaking up on someone and some unsuspecting victims. Its cooldown is 60 seconds. The fourth tech mod is the energy shield, which is a bubble that protects you from all physical damage for 10 seconds, and when hit, it will send you flying back. Its cooldown is 60 seconds. The fifth tech mod is the power leap, which when used will send you flying back up in the air and leaping forward about 30 meters. Its cooldown is 60 seconds. The sixth tech mod is the arena, which will spawn a giant impenetrable bubble that you can't get in or out of. The radius is 17.5 meters, its duration is 30 seconds, and its cooldown is 60 seconds. The seventh tech mod is the turret, which when a couple seconds to charge up, it will fire 3 shots in 3 seconds, with the downside being that it can be destroyed in 1 hit from an arrow or an axe. Its damage is 50 damage per shot, and its cooldown is 60 seconds. And the last tech mod being the teleport, which when activated will teleport you 100 meters in any direction in the location of your choosing. Its cooldown is 60 seconds. And the final part of the crafting wheel will be the traps, with the traps being among bear traps, smoke bombs, rig chests, gliders, etc. I won't be going over that today because I don't have enough time to fit that in the video, but other than that, I've gone over every single part of the crafting wheel. And now that that is over, you may be asking what you should use since there's so many options at your disposal for your crafting wheel. And I believe that me and my friends have come up with one of the best custom crafting wheels out there in our opinion. For your arrows, you should have either fire arrows or berserk arrows depending on how you want to play, but my opinion is that I would go for berserk arrows if you wanted to know. For your perks, I recommend the axe sharpener or scavenger axe. You'll want to figure out how good you are at combat to see what you need. If you think you're good at combat and melee, then you want to go for the axe sharpener to take them out fast. But if you aren't that good at combat, then you should probably use the scavenger axe so you can heal whenever you harvest an inmate or a deer. And your cloak should be the runner cloak due to how far you can run without stopping. It's useful for all situations like combat, running out of a zone, being close to nukes, and just traveling in general around the map. And your boots should be the ninja boots because, as I stated before, it'll make people trying to follow you very hard and very tough, since your footprints will disappear almost as soon as you walk. For your tech options, I recommend the camo. Being able to slip out of situations makes everything really easy, and be able to sneak up on someone or someone into fights, get the killing blow on someone. It makes everything easier. The second tech you should use should be the turret, because it's always nice to have a helping hand in combat. It distracts someone, which leaves them open to attack or leaves you the opportunity to leave the scene. And the third tech module you should always have is the radar. It's always nice to see people traps, and especially when the number of players in the map is starting to shrink and thinning out a little. And for your traps, you should equip you should always have the snowball equipped, so you can take out your campfires as soon as you're done with it. For your other two slots, it depends on what type of person you are. You might want to have smoke bombs to make it harder for someone to see you, or a glider to traverse the map quickly, or maybe you want to place down cages and bear traps to get damage on people. Either way, your traps and stuff like that, it all depends on personal preference for you. Some tips that I can offer you for this game, for one, is that as soon as the game starts, max out your cloak as fast as possible, especially if you have the runner cloak. You want to run for as long as possible in the early game to escape situations like combat and zones closing in. It's also good to not have to stop all the time and warm up at a fire all the time and exposing yourself with the fire. Some other things to remember is that when you can, always try to craft and warm up inside of a tree, because it is unlikely that people look inside trees for clues and fires, so it means that you won't be tracked very often since all your stuff is hidden inside of the trees. And to get good at combat, you have to learn to time your swings better. This is another thing I like to mention, just getting better at combat in general. You just start memorizing the swing in the axe and how heavy it is if you want to win a lot of fights against someone. It is good to note that if you time it right, you can actually swing your axe when someone shoots an arrow at you, and you can actually hit it out of the air before it hits you. So it's always good to try and learn to time your axe swings better, to swing arrows out of the sky or combat in general. And for me, increasing your sensitivity helped a lot in combat as well, especially since it's already really low to begin with. My sensitivity on Xbox is 100 for my horizontal and 65 for my vertical. It helps immensely when you can turn faster than someone else in combat. And the last thing I'd like to mention for the tips is that as soon as you're able to get a tech mod, if you have camo equipped, then try and make the camo as soon as possible. It is really useful to sneak up on someone and flee out of a fight with someone, especially if you have the runner cloak as well. It makes things a whole lot easier in the beginning. And that was my beginner's guide for Darwin Project. I know it was a really long video, but this game has a lot of systems and things to cover in it, so I want to go over it all for you all beginners. As I said before, it recently became free, so if you have the time, I recommend downloading and trying it for yourself. This game is really fun. I would like to see it grow into something bigger. Anyway guys, this has been UK Pancakes. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.